Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to be giving you a short demo of a piece of software I've been working on here and there for a couple months. Um, but before I get into that, I figure I should just introduce myself. My name is Thomas Lisanki. I'm a software developer. I hang out in the Rome cult threads on Twitter a lot. You might have seen me there. I'm the eyeball avatar. Here you go. If you want to follow me at Tom Lisanki. Um, so I'm mostly interested in like tools for thought and hypermedia right now. So without further ado, basically what I've been working on is a static site or like digital garden generator for Rome research. And the idea for it was initially inspired by uh, this website, Pistachio, I guess you'd call it. Um, is so it's basically a way to turn an Evernote notebook into a blog, and basically kind of it uses Evernote as like a headless, or not really sure what the terminology for it is, but a content management system, CMS of some sort, and also inspired by like other static site generators like Jekyll and what other ones are there? Well, I've only really ever used Jekyll. So um, the reason I made it though is I basically want to be able to host a lot of my um, Rome on other places and share it with people. But the thing with Rome is um, since everything can be interconnected to anything else, everything gets so tangled up with everything else. And so you may end up sharing like a page you want to share publicly, but then it's like linked to something private and that you would never even consider sharing publicly. So, yeah, that was part of the motivation for doing it. And I also just don't think Rome is really meant to be a presentation layer for Rome. It's Rome is really for thinking. It's not meant as a presentation layer. It's not meant to be a presentation layer. Um, and it doesn't, because of that, because it's for thinking and editing thoughts. It would make more sense to just take the actual information that's in your own database and put it into a format that can be hosted anywhere you can host web content, like a Cloudflare or web server, anywhere you can send HTTP requests from. Um, so I also wanted to be able to inject JavaScript and CSS and alter the look of the presentation of the Rome informations with like HTML templating. Um, and also at the time, Rome was incredibly slow to load, for especially for like larger databases that were like even like over a megabyte in size. Um, so that's kind of some of the motivation for it. Also, I just wanted something to do. So anyway, I kind of want to get into how it works. So basically, one of the ideas is you mark pages as entry points into your database, right? So you can kind of imagine an entry point as you can kind of liken it to a post on a blog. Excuse me. Um, and they're kind of the main way a reader would actually come in and start engaging with the content on your site. So you can kind of think about entry points like entrances around a real garden instead of just a digital garden. And so think about them like little gates scattered around the garden. Now, if you go through a gate on the garden, um, you have access to the full garden, but you'll have to take different paths to get to different places in it. So Yeah, that's really what you can think of entry points as. Is like a place to start taking a path through your digital garden. And by the way, I just want to have a side note here. In um, Pistachio is a great way to blog um, from Evernote, right? But Rome doesn't really lend itself to blogging in the traditional sense, because everything it's modification is very encouraged for any page you come across, and I think it should be that way, and it's very nice. um, and the way everything gets interconnected, it makes more sense to um, just have it as a digital garden. So um, yeah, let's get into how this actually works. So you have to tag pages in your Roam database as entry points, right? So right now we are looking at um, a Roam database from Robert Hayesfield. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. You might have seen him on Twitter and whatnot. Uh, Basically, I took his public Roam and tagged all the pages he had in the sidebar for shortcuts as entry points. So these are ways to get into the digital garden, right? So that's the first step to actually working with static Roam is you need to choose which pages will be entry points. Um, so then after that, you can set up some metadata for your blog. So do like the page that you used to do that is called SR metadata, static Roam metadata. And so you can set metadata here, like I'll just say like title part of my second brain. Let's just fix on that. Oops. So part of my second brain. And unfortunately, right now, none of the other properties are actually getting read by static Roam, so only the title will work. But yeah, you can come in here, set up metadata for your blog and whatnot. And yeah, so once you're done with that, you can either choose to have your whole Roam database. So if you have a Roam that's already public and fully public, you can choose that option. The entire database will be generated into a static site. Or what you could do is choose how far away from the entry points you actually want to, um, how far from the entry points you actually want static Roam to go in making pages public. So what I mean by this is, so I made this little GIF here for this. Let's say the pink is entry points. So you have two entry points into your database or digital garden. And say you only want it to go out 3 nodes. You can you can say, okay, I want it to only go out 3, and that you pass that in as a parameter to static Roam. And it'll cut off any reading of information as you after that point. So any any uh, any nodes here that are white after all the other nodes are blue or pink, um, those all stay private. The blue and the pink will be public, and you can also explicitly make um, pages. You can also explicitly make pages not appear by saying something like SR exclude or SR include. So either of these will make the page definitely appear or definitely disappear. So that's the basic idea. It's called they're just privacy tags basically, and privacy settings for your database. So you don't have to keep 2 Roams. Yeah, so where was I? Here I have some notes on the screen. I also haven't slept in like 24 hours, so forgive me if I'm muttering a lot. Let's see here. Yeah, you can also explicitly include or exclude pages. Yeah, so with that, let me actually show you some of this. So I had, here we go. This is a command you can, right now you can use it with LineGen, which is like a Clojure build tool. And so right here I have the input, which is the export of the JSON zip for Rome. And after that, here's an output directory, which is just some folder on my desktop. And then I'm saying all for, I want every page to show up. And so if you run that, it's actually a bit slow right now. I have a few queries that are like really inefficient. So I'm going to have to fix that. But it's actually much slower on like larger databases. This one's pretty small. It's like 300 kilobytes. That's why I'm using it as a demo. So it generated the digital garden. Now, what I'm going to do is cd to digital garden over here, and I'm just going to start a little server. Python 3 was this thing. Yeah, http dot server. There we go. That's the command. All right. So we do go here. Got all the entry points here. Now, currently you can't pass in your custom CSS, but what you can do is modify. Hold on, let me. Yeah, I'll do that later. But this is the CSS that comes with it, and so these are entry points. Like, let's just enter and play around. We have, and it's a bit ugly right now. I'm not gonna pretend it's not. But hopefully soon I'll have it fixed up, and some of the things don't work, like the image markdown isn't working, but there's linked references, so you can say like, okay, what's this page difficulty matching? So according to BJ Fogg, okay, we have motivation waves, okay, and so this has something to do with difficulty matching apparently, so we can click on that and we're taken to the block. Now, you don't have context yet, like you would in Rome, where you can kind of explore what the context of this block is, but this will have to do for now. And so you can be like, okay, according to BJ Fogg, blah, 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 tie that in with the Fogg behavior model. So, like, who's BJ Fogg? Let's find out. So this is actually dead end. So let's see, what are motivation waves? Oh, okay. So, and YouTube embedding works right now, so that's good. And again, linked references down here. They're not formatted yet, but we'll get to that. Also, formatting for block references doesn't work right now. There's a lot to be desired with this, but this is like pre-alpha, alpha, whatever. So yeah, so we have like it's not linking properly. What else is there to show? Yeah, but anyway, this HTML and CSS can go on any web server, any I'm blinking on the term right now, content delivery system or whatever you want to call it, content delivery network, CDN. You can just throw it up on Cloudflare or whatever. And yeah, so in order to run this, you're going to need Java 8. Hold on, let me go back to Chrome over here. You're going to need Java 8 or later installed. I think I haven't really tested this out on any computers except my own. So hopefully it works on hopefully it works on yours. I wouldn't count on it, but you can try. And I don't guarantee that your database is going to work with it yet. I mean, there's a lot of tags that aren't supported yet, like queries don't work yet. Although they shouldn't be too difficult to implement because I just use DataScript to manage all the data, so I can actually just run a query on that database, like show me everything where blah, blah, blah is mentioned, and yeah, that kind of thing. But I'm also planning on releasing a site soon for this. staticroom.d, and you won't have to actually download anything. I'm just going to transpile it with Clojure script, and then you'll be able to use like a GUI. You can imagine like, oh, how many degrees away from entry points do I want to go? And you just kind of upload your zip and download the output. Um, so yeah, if you have any issues, you can either open up an issue on GitHub, the issues tab over here, or you can contact me on Twitter again. That's at Tom Lisenki. Yeah, and I'm also I'm not considering. I'm gonna uh, create a SaaS for this kind of soon, software as a service. So it's gonna kind of have the similar model to what WordPress does, where there's WordPress.org, which is the open source version, and anyone can host their own WordPress. Um, and there's also going to be like the equivalent of WordPress.com, which I'm not sure yet, but either Roman Pub or Roman Garden, one of those two. And yeah, so look out for that. I'm probably going to give some sweet deals to some of you guys when it's up and ready with a minimum viable product. And yeah, thanks for watching this. Hopefully, I wasn't too nervous. And yeah, see you around.